And it's gonna be another hot one here today. Heat index well over 100, I believe. Humid, sticky, not too bad yet, but it's gonna get that way. So yesterday, my wife brought this home. This is a 2006 Impala SS. Pretty quick little thing. Supposed to do 0 to 60 in like 5.5 seconds. Top speed, I think, over 150. Which I really hope she doesn't try testing out, but we'll see. Bought this car from her brother. He kind of wheels and deals in cars. He has a little used car lot, and just kind of does it as a side type job. Anyway, he got contacted by the owner of this car, which was the original owner. She's a 65-year-old woman, and she was having some trouble. It wasn't shifting quite right. So he purchased the car off of her, and he put a brand new transmission in it, and then we bought it off of him. And my wife drove it home 2.5 hours yesterday, and then she went into town, picked my daughter up from daycare. On her way home, the battery light came on and it said check battery charging system or something like that. So I did, and yep, alternator needs replaced. So that's what I'm doing today. And this car has a 5.3 V8 engine in it. And when I first thought replacing the alternator is going to be a piece of cake in this, let me get my lights set up out here. Yeah, that might help a little bit. I first thought changing the alternator in this is just going to be a piece of cake. There's 4 bolts up here. Take those off, take this off, unplug that, and loosen up the serpentine belt. Well, evidently, after looking a little bit to remove the serpentine belt, evidently the belt tensioner is, I don't know, it's way down. I don't know if you can see it. Way down in there, there's a spring, and from what I have read, you need to take off the front wheel, take off the inner fender, the splash shield or whatever you want to call it, and then get a pry bar, put it in on top of that spring, pry it down, and then you can get the serpentine belt off, which doesn't look like it'd be a whole lot of fun to replace this belt, but it is what it is, has to be done. We're not actually replacing the belt. The belt seems to be in good shape, so I want to just loosen it enough that I can pull it off of that pulley there and get that alternator out of there. But I don't know why you can't get to this from the top somehow. You just have to push down on that spring. I'm not sure how strong that spring is. Should be able to get down there with something and push on it. Why they couldn't have made it like on the trucks I'm used to working on, you just put a wrench on the tensioner pulley and easily loosen it, but that's the way it is. But first things first, gonna disconnect the battery, see if I can get that belt off, which I'll get it off one way or another, and then we'll pull that alternator out of there. I did call down in the morning, getting an alternator from O'Reilly's with a lifetime warranty, and they have one down there. They're holding it for me, but I want to take the core with me so I don't have to make another trip. And they don't even make the battery real easy to get to. They got this this brace here in the way. Negative terminal's kind of down under here. This one's pretty easy to get to. I actually disconnected this last night just to clean up the battery posts. So you can do it, just kind of a pain. Get the negative off. Alright, battery disconnected. And it looks like the battery was replaced in 2016, but it doesn't look like they fully put the battery keeper strap in, and the battery it's just kind of sitting there. Must be okay though, been that way the last couple years. So now I'm going to figure out how to get this serpentine belt off. Shouldn't be too hard, but you know how that goes. Well, I tried sticking something down, and in there I tried a pry bar and some long extensions, and just pushing down on that spring doesn't seem to want to go real easy. And just so I'm not wasting all morning trying to do it that way, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to jack it up, pull this wheel off, pull the inner fender out, and get to it that way like I've seen done. Sure seems like they could have come up with a little bit better design than that. Supposedly there's a special tool or something you can use to do that. I don't have said special tool. Never worked on one of these. Phone's ringing, gotta go get that. And then I take it this is the part you got to remove, and there's two of these little fasteners up here. I think you release the tension on them by unscrewing them, although these look like maybe they're not going to cooperate. And let's see if I can pop these out of here one way or another. I couldn't get it to simply unscrew. Well, I'm not sure that's how that's supposed to work, but we got it. This one's all kind of torn up. I'm not sure if I have any more of these or not. This one's broke. I do have some other kind of fasteners that I think I can make work in there. And if nothing else, I'll just use a bolt or something. That screw is supposed to just come out of there, but it doesn't want to cooperate. Now the heck with it. Got it. And this comes off. All the loosen the darn belt. This is ridiculous. I guess there's one up in the front too. So let's just slide this, I don't know, out of the way somewhere. Still not sure how you're supposed to get on that tensioner. I don't really have the room to record this very good. I'm going to try to get the end of my pry bar up in through here, get on top of that, pry down on it, and I guess that's supposed to release the tension on the belt. So I managed to get in there. I got in there with this little nail puller pry bar, pushed down on that spring, and I was able to get the serpentine belt off of the alternator, staying on everywhere else as far as I can see. Gonna try not to disturb it too much, but now all I gotta do is remove, I don't know how good you can see here, but remove these 4 bolts. There's one here, and 2 back on the opposite side, which these back here might be a little tricky to get to. But I'll get to them one way or another here. And it looks like they're 15 millimeter. I'm going to try these front ones here just to see how tight they are. Not too bad. Getting to those back ones, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Might need, I'm not sure, wrench or... Probably get to that one with a little short extension. The other one I'm not real sure. So I pulled the 2 front ones out. They're easy to get out, hopefully to loosen up some tension on the back a little bit. And I think I can get the one over on this side. I think I can get him out. I used, what did I use? I used a little short extension and socket, 3/8. And actually a swivel works pretty good with a little extension, or you can actually use a long extension. One on the other side, I'll get it, but I'm not exactly sure how yet. Okay, so the one back here, back behind here, I can get out. I'm using a ratcheting wrench, and you can pretty easily get that on there. I think I actually cracked it loose using a swivel and a 15 millimeter socket, 3/8. But it's not too hard to get this back in there. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these, so when I get that bolt loose I can just pull it on out of there. And you can tell the alternator, it's already loose. Just have that back bolt to take out. So peel this back. And I'm not sure what size, I don't think that's a 15. No. And that nut right there, if you can see it, that's a 13 millimeter. If I can do this one-handed here. Rubber boots in the way. Pull that off. Pull this off. That's out of the way. And then to get this connector off, you see that little blue, you can see that blue tab right there. I think what you want to do, I've seen these before, you push that down, I believe. Yeah, if you can see that now, I pushed it down that way, then you should be able to just pinch this and pull that out, I think. Well, I got it. She was a little stuck, just had to wiggle it a bit, and that came off. Now to finish taking out that back bolt, and we should be in business. I don't know if I can get it with my fingers or not. Yeah, it's still pretty snug. All right, got that loosened up enough now. I can turn it with my fingers. Kind of. Got her. Now I should be able to pull this out of here, take it down to the auto parts store so we don't have to make another trip to take our core back. There you go. There you have it. One alternator out. Really wasn't too bad, a little time consuming. Nothing like taking the alternator out of one of these old Ford trucks. You can have one of these replaced in about 10 minutes. I mean, they crammed a V8 engine sideways into this car, and everything is rather compact in here. Makes it kind of hard to work on stuff, but we'll get it done. So now I'm going to take this down to the auto parts store. I got to go all the way to Des Moines because the one locally doesn't have it in stock, and I want to get one today. So I'm going to head down there, pick up a new one of these, and we'll get it put in. And then hopefully that takes care of all the problems. I'm pretty sure it will. I tested the alternator last night and it wasn't charging. So I got new said alternator. I had him test the old one and it failed. So pretty sure this is the issue. Right now it's about 550 degrees outside. So I think I'm gonna head up to the house. I'm gonna get something to drink, something to eat, and then I'm gonna come back down and reverse the process, put that alternator in. Okay, so I got something to eat, something to drink. Right now the heat index is 102. Supposed to get up to 104 here this afternoon. And it is just muggy, sticky, humid. Dew point's up in the lower 70s, I think. Anyway, we're gonna get this put into the car. Get that off of there, maybe. There we go. Don't need that. And I may not show this whole thing. One, it's really hot, I want to turn a fan on. But two, it's basically the reverse of taking it out. So this sucker is going to be going in there, sitting like that. And this one down here was the hardest one to get out. I'm going to start by putting it in there with the bolt in the hole, or at least partially in the hole. Make it a little easier to get past the firewall back there. The rest of them should go right in, I believe. Kind of a tight fit in getting it in here. That's not too bad. I guess I didn't put the bolt. And of course I dropped the bolt down to the ground. I'll see if I can get it in there without pulling the alternator back out. I know it's a tight fit. Alright, I got that back one started in. I'm just going to get soaking wet here. I'm going to go ahead, put the remainder of these bolts in. Putting them in is going to be a little easier than taking them out. And then hook the wires back up, get the belt back on, and this job is done. So she's all put back together, and if you remember when I took that inner wheel well little piece that you can't see now, that piece up in there, the connectors were broke. I got a whole bag of these things, these Christmas tree connector type things. I got these for working on these old Ford trucks, like inside the door panel, like actually inside the door panel, you'll find these. And also holding the air intake tube onto the radiator support. They go, I believe it's right here, fit down in there. These worked great. I think they might even work better than the ones that came off of the thing. But they were broke, and I stuck these in there, and not gonna have a problem with that. And everything seems to be working fine now. I just took it for a test drive. I tell you what, the air in this thing is ice cold. But we'll start her up, and battery light up there, it's gonna go off. And then I was getting a message, something along the lines of service wheel management system or tire management, something like that. And so I looked it up real quick on my phone. Seems to be pretty common that the sensors for your air pressure in your tires can go bad. And so I went around to each wheel and just put a little shot of air in them. Of course, that didn't make any difference, so I said the heck with it. Took it out for a drive, and I was flipping through the menu on there till I could find the tire pressure screen. Found it, and the right rear wasn't sending a signal at all. Then all of a sudden, it popped up and it worked fine. I don't know if there's a sensor that can get dirty or something. We do live on a gravel road, but I've always found a manual tire gauge works pretty good as your tire pressure management system. Anyway, everything seems to be working now. It was the alternator. And now I can pull this on out of here. Then I can get my green truck parked back in there where it belongs. But I think this car will do my wife good, at least for a couple of years. Her old Tahoe is just getting way up there in miles, and she just needed something a little more reliable. Kind of scared me every time she took off, and the thing that I might get a phone call that she's broke down somewhere. Haven't had such a phone call since the fuel pump went out about a year ago. She did manage to get it started back up, drove it the rest of the way home. She was up at her parents'. I put a new fuel pump in it. Haven't had a problem with it since. So I'm gonna get on out of here. I'm gonna open the sunroof up a little bit, just like that, let it vent. Because I think the temperature outside right now has increased to about 640, 650 degrees, something like that, I'm sure. I think it's time to head on into the air conditioning. But yeah, I think this car will do her good for a couple years at least anyway. She likes it. I think it'll probably be a little more reliable than her Tahoe is right now. And I know it's not a Ford. I know most things I do on my channel are with Ford trucks, and I do like my Ford trucks. Anyway, that could be a story for another day. Actually, I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna put my truck away and close up the shop. And before I go, I just want to mention that if you have a license plate that you'd like to send into the Fox shop for the license plate wall, or have anything else that you want to send on in, the address is down in the description. Also down in the description is a link if you're interested in getting a channel sticker, t-shirt, hoodie, any of that kind of stuff. That link's down in the description as well. So I'm going to get the green truck pulled in here. I may go just jump in the pool on my way to the house. It is so sticky and muggy and hot. Be getting back to work here on the Bronco real soon. Wife and I were just talking about that last night. And that's going to do it for this video, so give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.